So that's what's going on in the Middle East. Now, that ties into, obviously, with what happened to Trump. And again, I cannot believe I'm even saying this. Where were you when Trump had his second assassination attempt? Am I really saying that? A second assassination? A second time where the Secret Service failed to cover the perimeter of a golf course. I mean, again, I don't understand. I don't understand the FBI because they're like closed mouth. They won't say anything. I don't understand the Secret Service, the guy saying we had the assets and that's what we did. Well, yeah, there's a bush over here on the 6th hole, and you indicated that you knew it was always there at that golf course. The guy was there for 12 hours. And you, the Secret Service, are telling me that this was off the schedule. How did he go there? How did he know the schedule, off schedule? Because this wasn't on schedule. How did he know the schedule? He was there for 12 hours camped out. And it wasn't planned, apparently, to the Secret Service. It was just something he decided to do last minute. Let's go golfing. Last minute. Well, how come the guys camped out there for 12 hours? Who told him? Because somebody did. How did a guy just randomly, I know he's going to be on the 6th hole at this time because, again, guys, they're telling you, hey, it's raining, but they're really pouring water down your back. Okay? So if you're going to buy into this, that, yeah, oh, shucks, another crazy. Oh, shucks, the Secret Service didn't get that part of the golf course. I would think even myself, and I'm not a Secret Service expert, but I'm going to put Secret Service agents around the entire golf course. And they're going to be trolling up and down around the entire golf course. I would think, why would I only put Secret Service agents a hole ahead? Yeah, one guy saw the barrel. Okay, thank God. But it doesn't sound like they're doing what they need to be doing as Secret Service agents. To me, I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe you think they're doing a great job. Maybe you think, Brandon, you're just being too hard on the Secret Service. Okay, I got a couple clips. Jesse Waters did a real good thing on Monday night, so I want to play a few clips from it. But there's some questions here that we all need to think about, okay? Because you understand that a political candidate was almost taken out again, and that would disenfranchise the voters of that party, of half the United States. And we can't protect a political candidate, and they want to say, hey, look, he's not the president, so we don't provide enough Secret Service. Wait a second, he's running for president. He's not Jimmy Carter. What are you talking about? He needs more protection, but yet you see the Biden administration doesn't want to give him any more protection. Oh, okay.
Tonight, the country's wondering, how did this happen again? The last time a president was nearly assassinated was 4 decades ago. And Trump was almost taken out twice in one summer. Even the officer who arrested the assassins asking questions.
What we're finding out from this area, which of course raises the bigger question, is how does a guy from not here get all the way to Trump International, realize that the president, former president of the United States, is golfing and is able to get a rifle in that vicinity? I think that's the question the FBI, the Secret Service are laser focused on today. Is this guy part of a conspiracy? Is he a lone gunman? If he's a lone gunman, President Trump is that much safer because we have him. But if he's part of a conspiracy, then this whole thing really takes on a very ominous tone.
Trump's golf game was a last-minute decision. So how did a random out-of-towner know Trump was at that course that afternoon? There's only 3 possible answers. The former assistant director at the FBI says he guessed and got very lucky. He conducted surveillance on Trump and followed him to the golf course. Or he had inside information about Trump's schedule. The last answer's scary and has implications that another person was involved. The Secret Service and FBI are actively investigating whether Ruth was part of the conspiracy.
Is there any evidence to suggest that the suspect knew that Donald Trump was going to be on that golf course at that time?
Based on what I know now, and it's an active investigation, I don't have any information on that.
Did he act alone? Did he have some kind of help?
At this point, we're still exploring that, investigating that. Our investigation will determine that. We do not have information that he's been acting with anyone else at present.
The FBI says 58-year-old Ryan Ruth is a roofer who maintains residencies in North Carolina and Hawaii. This individual was staked out by the fence line of the golf course for over 12 hours, waiting to take a shot. He had a scoped SKS rifle with a shaved-off serial number, 2 backpacks, and 2 cameras. The guy was ready for action. But where'd he get the gun from? Ruth's caught more than 100 criminal charges just in North Carolina alone, including charges of possession of weapons of mass destruction, possession of a fully automatic machine gun, hit and runs, drug charges, bad checks, stolen cars. Years back, there was even a 3-hour armed standoff between Ruth and law enforcement. The FBI had Ruth on its radar.
He was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession of a firearm.
So the gun was probably stolen since a background check would have flagged the sale and the serial number was scratched off. And the car he was pulled over in had stolen plates. How is a roofer from out of state with $300 in his checking account and no assets to his name operating like a seasoned pro? When Secret Service agents swept the perimeter of the course, they noticed Ruth's sniper nest and they opened fire. Ruth wasn't hit and fled the scene and hopped in his Nissan heading north on 95. But thankfully, a wide-eyed local snapped photos of his car. A bulletin went out and sheriff deputies pulled him over 45 minutes north of West Palm.
Driver! Take 2 steps to your right! Take 2 steps to your right! Driver! Walk straight back! Keep walking!
When Ruth was taken into custody, he was calm. He knew what he was being pulled over for. He took the 5th, asked for a lawyer. He was perched on the 6th hole. Trump was putting for birdie on 5. He was just 300 yards away from the former president. How is a man with a loaded rifle allowed to get that close to 45, especially after what happened in Butler?
At this level that he is at right now, he's not the city president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible.
Luckily, agents saw the barrel of Ruth's rifle peeking through the foliage against the chain link fence before Trump got to 6. But the Secret Service didn't even sweep the course before Trump teed off. They had a team 1 hole ahead of him and another agent sweeping the perimeter during the round. The Secret Service director patted himself on the back.
Yesterday was an off-the-record movement, off the record. And the president wasn't even really supposed to go there. It was not on his official schedule. And so we put together a security plan, and that security plan worked.
It worked because Trump's still alive. But it failed because it was too close for comfort. It's just odd that this was a last-minute decision to play golf, and the assassin was already at the course since 2 a.m. And then an agent fired rounds at him, and he escapes into a different county, only captured because a sharp citizen happened to nab pics of his plate. This is the 2nd time in 2 months where Trump almost died because of an unsecured perimeter.
So the Secret Service says we did our job and we did it well. I mean, the guy said that to the American public. I mean, are you gaslighting me? You did it well? You didn't even, what are you talking about? I'm not crazy, am I? Am I seeing this right? Okay, we're gaslighting, right? They're gaslighting, okay? So here's the other thing. So we'll get to this guy a little bit, but this guy's a real wacko, man. I mean, he's got some ties with Iran. He's got ties with stuff going on in the Ukraine. This guy's not like some roofer dude that just came out of nowhere. He seems to be an asset for somebody or something. But anyway, I want you to see something that's disturbing to me because, you know, we're humans. I think I think other people out there are humans, I think. Okay, and I say that tongue in cheek because we have 53% of Democrats are either okay with Trump being murdered or on the fence about that. As a human being, you are not supposed to want any human being killed. I thought maybe we are not dealing with humans. Okay, I don't know. But anyway, it is one thing for politicians to engage in a unique threat to democracy rhetoric like we've been hearing, and I'll show you in a second. But it's never in my lifetime I've seen the corporate media jump on the bandwagon that is clearly intended to incite an assassin to murder a fellow human being. The following is simply fact. The media deliberately spread incendiary lies about a man, especially a man who could be our next president. And there is no question that CNN, MSNBC, The Atlantic, New Republic, Newsweek, ABC News, Washington Post, NPR, and the whole bunch of others are signaling for a hero to assassinate Donald Trump. That's not happened in American history. That the media is that evil, right? If you truly believe that Trump is the next Hitler, or is a unique threat to democracy that he will kill or imprison his political enemies, if you truly believe he will become a dictator one day, that he's a racist who praises Nazis, that he told Putin to invade Ukraine, that he's a Russian spy, that he's promising a bloodbath if he loses, that he's responsible for 33 Ohio bomb threats which came from outside the country, not inside the country, would you not feel it is your patriotic duty to murder this man? Of course you would. And those lies are constantly repeated not only by the Democrats, but the corporate media. You understand they want him dead. That's why they're doing it. So again, here's a string of these politicians and the media promoting this type of rhetoric, okay? Go ahead and listen to this.
For the last 8 years, Democrats have been calling Trump an existential threat to the country.
Right now, I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. And we see it time and time again. Domestic terrorism is a real thing, and he is the guy that stokes it.
Let's not pretend that Donald Trump isn't exactly like Mussolini, exactly like Hitler. He is that guy.
Donald Trump cannot be president again. He's an existential threat to democracy.
He is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
This MAGA threat is a threat to the brick and mortar of our democratic institutions.
The former president is a threat to our most fundamental freedoms. He has openly said he will be a dictator on day one.
Joe and Kamala have repeatedly said democracy's on the ballot, and when Kamala talks, was Ryan Ruth listening? He tweeted that exact phrase earlier this year. But the media says Joe and Kamala bear no responsibility for his actions.
There's absolutely, again, no basis in fact that they were behind this at all. We don't know much about this guy yet at all, other than he was somebody who was trying to find a way in his mid to late 50s, go and serve on the front lines of Ukraine, and he obviously had some anti-Trump posts, but that has nothing to do with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
She can barely make the case. Don't you see, Joe and Kamala's hands are clean. Trump's the bad guy. Once again, Republicans are pouncing.
The Trump campaign is seizing on this apparent assassination attempt as a way to rile up his base.
Did the left forget Trump almost got killed? He's the victim? And a former FBI agent made sure to tell CNN that. Listen.
And sadly, the finger pointing at Trump has led to, the line about the bloodbath, talking about the auto industry, and that sadly has led to, I think, these attempts on Trump's life. And I would think we're going to find that this guy's extremely politically motivated, and that he probably was spurred on by much of the political diatribes that are going on these days, talking about Trump, equating him to Hitler and things like that. So I don't think this is the last we'll see of crazies out there trying to do this.
So Democrat talking points may have gotten Trump killed almost twice. But he's the one who needs to tone down the language.
But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town.
Well, the bomb threats came from overseas. So there that is. The media is already trying to turn the page. Trump got shot, and they're worried about the Haitians in Springfield. Not the Americans in Springfield, just the Haitians. In their eyes, cat memes are worse than real-life assassinations. The media is blaming the victim, plain and simple. They want Trump to stop talking about immigration, stop doing outdoor rallies. And you know what? He should never golf again.
Will Donald Trump, if encouraged by the Secret Service to stop golfing or to change golf courses or do something, that's far more protected, will he abide by that? I think in these remaining weeks, I would take the advice of security professionals.
The Washington Post says this is actually Trump's fault. The Secret Service knew about the gap in the brush line near the 6th hole for years. They say Trump insisted on golfing anyway. If they knew it was a problem, why didn't they have an agent posted there or demand the course fix it? They would have just billed the taxpayer, no problem. Some even made light of the assassination attempt. The wife of former impeachment witness, Ms. Vindman, posted this: no ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. And the Cincinnati Enquirer published this: there is no place in politics for violence. That said, the former president, Donald Trump, brings a lot of this stuff on himself. He brings the crazies out. And one of those crazies tried to shoot him.
You see what's happening? Blame the victim. Blame the victim. He caused it. He incites it. And I mean, this rhetoric is off the chart, no doubt about that. But again, I don't know if we're necessarily dealing with crazy. I think the two guys that shot at him are crazy, but I think they're pawns in a bigger scheme that are being used, like a Lee Harvey Oswald, for some operative of alphabet soup type of organization. Something's going on here, and it seems like the Secret Service doesn't know what they're doing. FBI. Again, more of this rhetoric. So Glenn Beck, I think this morning, I think it was today or yesterday, I want you to hear the quotes of the rhetoric from the Democrat politicians and the media. Listen to this.
Here's some of the rhetoric just leading up to the last two assassination attempts. Kamala Harris repeatedly has said Trump is a threat to our democracy and our fundamental freedoms. Kamala, it's on us to recognize the threat that Trump poses. Kamala, does one of us have to come out alive? Ha 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 ha. Joe Biden, it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Trump is a threat to this nation. There is one existential threat. It's Donald Trump. These are all Joe Biden. Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Oh, he got that right that time. And is a threat to this country. Tim Walz, are Republicans a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Nancy Pelosi said Trump is a threat to our democracy of the kind that we have not yet seen. Jasmine Crockett, Representative MAGA in general, the threats to us domestically. He's destructive to our democracy. He has to be eliminated. That's one of my favorites from Goldman. Love that one. Be eliminated. Eliminated. Yeah. But he didn't say liquidated. He just said eliminated. Thanks. Yes. A staffer for Harris. Trump is an existential, urgent threat to our democracy. Liz Cheney, Trump presents a fundamental threat to the republic, and we are seeing it on a daily basis. I mean, this just goes on and on and on and on. There's over page after page quotes. After page. Yeah.
So there's over 50 pages of quotes from politicians and the alphabet soup news of this kind of rhetoric. Okay, I'm sorry. First of all, let's take a step back. How is it that everybody says the same thing? Because that tells me that everyone has a playbook. And the playbook says you will start saying this about Trump. He's an existential threat. He's a threat to democracy. He's going to lock people up. It's going to be a bloodbath. They all say the same thing. So it tells me that this is very coordinated. This is not grassroots. This is coordinated with the media and the politicians. Okay? So something's going on here, obviously. So, and something's being coordinated with his assassination attempts. You are watching the end of America if they succeed in this. You understand that what's at stake here. This is the end, because that means that there's a cabal running things. Now, again, we know that God's in control, and I'm going to bring that into the equation, but this is very nefarious. We've never seen this kind of activity in American history to this level where we can't trust anybody in media anymore. So what about this guy? Well, he comes from Hawaii. He went to move to Hawaii at 56. I don't know who goes to Hawaii and starts living in 56 because it's so unaffordable there, but he does apparently. But he only has $300 to his name. So how do you live in Hawaii when you have no money? So this guy, so alarmed by his erratic behavior in Ukraine that they alerted U.S. officials, who apparently did very little about their warning. So he's in the Ukraine. He tried to join the Ukrainian army, but they wouldn't let him. Because they probably said, this guy's crazy. But anyway, he's a convicted felon. He had a weapon of mass destruction that he was convicted by. Here's the funny thing. He's convicted, but there's no indication he served any jail time for having a weapon of mass destruction. How come there's no record of any jail time? Dude, you had a weapon of mass destruction, you're going to jail. There's no record of him serving time. Oh, Brandon, that's just conspiratorial, Brandon. You're just blowing this out of... He's just a roofer that was crazy. Really? Stuff doesn't add up. How did he know Trump was going to be there, and he's there at 2 in the morning, and Trump's there later that afternoon, 12 hours later? He's staked out. Somebody told him to be there, okay? New York Times reporter who had interviewed Ralph last year, this guy was been interviewed already, okay, wrote on Sunday that Ralph was working to recruit former Afghan special operations soldiers who had fled to Iran to go fight in Ukraine. Ralph's efforts to recruit former Afghan special operations forces in Iran to go fight in Ukraine would have likely at least put him on the radar of Iranian and Russian governments, and possibly have exposed him to Iranian and Russian exploitation or manipulation and even cooperation. So, what's going on? This is not some dude that just popped up and said, I'm going to shoot the president. What's he doing recruiting Afghans to go fight in the Ukraine war? I don't know. Let's listen to Jesse.
How did a failed builder come this close to assassinating the former president? Ryan Ruth has a rap sheet pages long. Over the last few decades, he was charged with stolen vehicles, drug charges, possessing weapons of mass destruction. His old neighbors in North Carolina say Ruth was strapped and people were scared.
I've seen the guns myself and all, but yeah, they had a lot of guns over there and stuff and all, like I said, and a lot of people were afraid of him.
Ruth didn't really have a steady job, eventually moving to Hawaii in his 50s. And when war broke out in Ukraine, he flew there to join the fight.
My initial goal was to come and fight. I think, everybody around the globe should be motivated to come here and support the Ukrainians and support the Army, no matter what gender, age, anything. Everybody should be here supporting the Army, but I'm 56, so initially they were like, well, I have no military experience, so they're like, you're not an ideal candidate. So they said, not right this minute. So plan B was to come here to Kyiv and promote getting more people here. We need thousands and thousands and thousands of people here fighting with the Ukrainians.
Here he is in front of the U.S. Capitol. Watch.
Over 100 soldiers every day, and pretty much everybody, all of my contacts in Ukraine, they were adamant and pretty much yelled at me every time that I suggested that we bring in Afghans.
People on the ground in Ukraine say Ruth was not fighting material. He was a rabble-rouser. He spent months luring Afghan mercenaries to Ukraine by way of Iran, but the fighters would get stranded in Iran over paperwork. He was even on the New York Times radar.
He was very driven to help Ukraine, even though some of his ideas were completely nonsensical. I mean, he kind of spoke with the self-assuredness that he was going to get from A to B and nothing was going to get in the way, even though his plans were already running into major obstacles.
Ruth even wrote a book about his time in Ukraine. In it, he says he regretted voting for Trump in 2016 and called on Iran to kill them both. Quote, "You are free to assassinate Trump as well as me for that error in judgment and the dismantling of the deal." He's talking about the Iran deal. Ruth praised John Kerry, praised Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and recited the same Democrat slogans about Trump being a threat to democracy and needing to be stopped. So a convicted felon with no monies flying from Hawaii into Ukraine, talking to NGOs and the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, is in touch with Afghan soldiers for hire. And the U.S. government didn't flag that. And American citizens recruiting foreign fighters to fight in a war zone to fight the Russians, and the New York Times is running profiles on them. An intelligence officer in Ukraine flagged Ruth to the State Department, saying he was freelancing and out of control. So now we know the FBI and the U.S. State Department, and likely the CIA, was aware of Ruth. American intelligence knows exactly which Americans come in and out of Ukraine, and which ones talk to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And then the convicted felon with weapons of mass destruction charges flies back from Ukraine to our capital and lobbies Washington.
What do you make out of that? It sounds like he's part of a bigger thing. Well, Brandon, that's conspiratorial. You're being conspiratorial. I'm sorry, nothing adds up. This looks like he's a spook, that he's involved. He's a CIA type of guy, FBI guy. I don't know what. It seems like he's involved with the CIA to me. I don't know. I could be wrong. NSA could be that. Could be something else. I don't know. Secret agent. But if he's part of the CIA, then he's a spook. And there's weird stuff happening because how come he only has $300 to his name? How come he was living in Hawaii? All of a sudden he has the ability to fly all over the place and stuff like that. Why is he recruiting Afghans into Ukraine? Something's not right. And then he takes a shot at Trump. Okay, I don't know, but I'm telling you this. There's something evil afoot. And I think everybody in this room can connect dots and has enough common sense that says something's going on. And they're probably not going to stop, and they're probably going to try to kill him again. Okay, I said it before, back when he got shot in the summer. I said they're going to try it again, and they did it. And I think they're going to try it again. Because they got, okay, and you're thinking, well, is this just a political thing of Republican, Democrat? No. Why are we even talking about it? Because it feeds itself into the biblical narrative. How so? Because the biblical narrative says that we're going to a global system. And Trump is the only one standing in the way of that system. And at least half of the Americans that love their country and love Christianity and love the Bible say, no, wait a second, and no eschatology, and not a Protestant reforming church that has no eschatology, but understands that the Bible's predicting we're going to go there, and that we're the last bastion to hold that back. And like you already know, Kamala, if she gets in there, or anyone else would get in there, they're going to go full Monty on globalism. You know that. And so Trump, what you have to understand, Trump represents the resistance to globalism. And the globalists have to take him out. They couldn't put him in jail. It didn't work. Tried to bring up all these charges. Didn't work. Stormy Daniels. Didn't work. You know, I think I was telling somebody the other day, you know, you got these crazy Christian leaders telling people not to vote because, you know, there's no good candidates. I'm like, you're an idiot for saying that to people. You have no idea what you're talking about to tell Christians not to vote. You have to vote. Otherwise, you're going to get globalism. Okay? You have to vote because you have to outvote the cheating that's going on and all the other things they're going to be doing. Okay. But when you don't understand what's happening here, you know, you think it's just a Republican-Democrat thing. You think it's just politics. This is way beyond politics. This is at a whole different level. This is good versus evil. And people say, well, I don't like Trump's personality. So what? Tough. Get some thick skin and shut up. You know, I'm sick and tired of that. You're so cotton candy that you can't take a guy pushing back on people? What's wrong with you? Get some thicker skin, grow a spine. At least that guy's fighting for stuff. Yeah, he's not perfect, I get that. But am I electing a pastor? I'm not electing a pastor. Whoever told you you were electing a pastor? Politics is tough. We need a tough guy. Okay, that seems like the guy. Okay, but then people say, well, it's just dirty business. Yeah, but you vote and you hold your nose because, yeah, politics is dirty. But what do you want? What's the alternative for you? To lose? And then what? Have less freedom? So as a Christian, I want to ask these Christians that say, I'm abstaining from voting. So you like having less freedom? You like the churches being under the thumb of dictators and them telling you you're non-essential and you can't meet? You like that? Apparently you did because you're the ones who locked down last time. So apparently you did like watching church from home in your slippers. Apparently you did, okay? Apparently you did. Because if you were like us, we were fighting and scratching to meet because everybody wanted to meet, but apparently you guys didn't. Not you, but they didn't. That don't want to vote because that's what you're going to get if you get Kamala or anyone else is tyrants telling you you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have freedom of assembly, you don't have freedom of this or that, whatever. We're taking all that away. Thank you very much. We're going global. Okay, and to me, that seems like a simple decision. To me, it seems like a simple decision. So what I'm saying is, look at what you just saw this week. A second assassination attempt, and then you saw Israel almost go to a full-fledged war with Lebanon and Hezbollah in Lebanon, which could incite World War III. Dude, we are so close to things just totally getting out of control, like real quick, like World War III stuff, nuclear stuff. And let me ask you this. If nuclear option is there with Putin, and he's already warned, I want Kamala to have the finger to the button of the nuclear bombs. What? What are you, crazy? Who would you rather have? Trump at the button or Kamala? Okay. I'm not telling you how to vote, but I'm just telling you. What? What are we doing here? So here's my thing. I already know you're going to vote. I already know you are because you're the kind of person that does that. I need you to talk to other Christians that say, I'm too pious to vote. I'm not voting because neither of them are good candidates. You need to go set them straight. You need to set them straight, and you take them to the voting booth, and you're going to vote. Because I'm sick and tired of this attitude. You understand that 40 million Christians didn't vote last time. 40 million. Okay, and I told you that last week. It is a big deal. You have to vote. Okay, so big stuff happening, obviously. But again, we take a step back. What is God doing? You have to ask yourself, what message would you take away in reading the fact that Donald Trump missed 2 assassination attempts? What would you take away as a Christian about what message God is sending to us? Okay? I'll just leave that with you. But I think you know the answer. I'm protecting this guy twice for you. I'm protecting him twice. He should have been killed, right? but I protected him. So what do you think God's trying to tell us? You figure that out. Let's pray. Father, thank you, Lord, for what we can understand about not only the Church of Revelation and the Sardis Church, but even what's going on here in our world today. And even the two tie in together, because so many Christians, it seems, Father, that they don't even understand what's going on. They're clueless. Just like you said, they weren't looking for your return. And we know when all these things are developing, you said when these things start happening, look up, lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near. That means we're close to seeing Jesus. And that's what we're really looking forward to, and we thank you for that promise. And so, Father, bless us as we go. Help us to be good soldiers, good faith warriors in this battle in good versus evil. We pray in Jesus' name, amen. God bless you guys. Have a good night.